Let's get right into it. Number 12, the microphone alibi. Here's a fun little thought experiment. You're sitting at dinner with a friend. You mention, out loud, that you've been thinking about buying a new couch. You haven't Googled it. You haven't texted anyone about it. You haven't even looked at a furniture website since 2019 when you panic bought a bookshelf you still haven't assembled. And then, the next morning, your phone's showing you ads for sectionals and velvet ottomans like it was in the room with you. Because it was. Now, the official story from every tech company on Earth is that your phone is not continuously recording your conversations. And technically, that's probably true. Continuous audio recording would drain your battery in about 40 minutes and eat your storage alive. But here's the part they don't lead with. Your phone doesn't need to record everything to figure out everything. It just needs to listen smart. Apps that request microphone access, and there are hundreds of them, including ones you'd never suspect, like flashlight apps and random games you downloaded once, can activate that mic in short, strategic bursts. Some researchers have demonstrated that phones can pick up ultrasonic signals, frequencies above human hearing, broadcast by TVs, stores, and websites that essentially ping your device and say, hey, this person was in the room when this ad played. You didn't tell your phone you watched that car commercial. The TV did. And then there's always-on wake word detection, which is its own special category of unsettling. Your phone is literally never not listening for, hey Siri or, okay Google. That audio processing happens locally, supposedly, but the trigger threshold is imprecise. Meaning the word Siri or seriously, or your friend going, hey, do you want some can, and does sometimes accidentally wake the assistant. And what happens in that window? Nobody's fully sure. Basically, your phone has plausible deniability and it's using it expertly. Number 11. Your battery is a snitch. This one is somehow worse because it has nothing to do with cameras or microphones or anything you'd think to turn off. Researchers at Stanford and a team in France independently discovered something called a battery status attack. And it is delightfully evil. Here's how it works. Your browser, by default, can access your phone or laptop's battery level and charging status through something called the Battery Status API. This was designed innocently enough so that websites could offer you a low-power mode experience when you're at 8% and panicking. Sweet, right? Except, advertisers and trackers figured out that your battery percentage, combined with your charge rate and estimated discharge time, creates a number so specific, out of roughly 14 million possible combinations, that it functions as a unique fingerprint for your device. You cleared your cookies? Doesn't matter. You opened a private window? Cute. You're using a VPN? Adorable. Your battery is still sitting there going, it's me. Hi. I'm the problem. It's me. Whispering your identity to every ad network that knows how to listen. The particularly poetic part is that this API was never supposed to be a tracking tool. It was a quality of life feature. But surveillance capitalism is nothing if not creative, and someone, somewhere, looked at a battery meter and thought, what if this were a tiny, invisible passport? That person probably got a bonus. The API has since been restricted in most modern browsers, but the underlying point stands. Your phone's most mundane, boring stats are data. All data is leverage. And somewhere, a server farm in New Jersey knows you were at 43% charge on a Tuesday. Number 10. The accelerometer reads the room. Your phone has a little sensor in it called an accelerometer. It measures movement, tilt, and orientation. It's why your screen rotates when you flip the phone sideways, why your step counter works, and why your Maps app knows you just turned left. It is also, quietly, one of the most invasive pieces of hardware your phone contains, because unlike the microphone or camera, no app needs to ask your permission to access it. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's how the permission system is built. Microphone, permission required. Camera, permission required. Accelerometer, help yourself, it's a free-for-all. So what can someone learn from how your phone moves? A disturbing amount. Researchers have shown that accelerometer data, when run through the right algorithm, can determine what you're typing on your keyboard, because the micro-vibrations from your keystrokes create a pattern. Different letters, different subtle tilts. A study from MIT and Georgia Tech demonstrated they could reconstruct typed passwords from accelerometer data alone with frightening accuracy. No microphone, no camera, just the way your phone wiggled while you typed. It goes further. Your gait, the specific way you walk, creates an accelerometer signature, so distinct it can identify you even if you're carrying someone else's phone. Insurance companies have been flagged for exploring this to verify whether a driver was actually driving when they claimed to be. Some mental health apps use accelerometer data to detect depression, because people who are depressed move differently. Slower, heavier, less variation. Your phone isn't just tracking where you go. It's tracking how you go there, and it's drawing conclusions you never consented to let it draw. Basically, your phone is doing a full psychological profile from the way you lurch toward the fridge at 2 a.m. You're welcome. Number 9. Bluetooth is basically a stalker with good intentions. Bluetooth was invented so you could listen to music without a wire touching your face. Noble goal. Humble origins. And then, gradually, quietly, it became one of the most precise indoor tracking systems ever deployed at mass scale, and nobody really made an announcement about it. Here's the thing about Bluetooth. Your phone is constantly broadcasting a signal even when you're not connected to anything. The scanning, pinging, whispering into the void looking for known devices. And every Bluetooth broadcast contains an identifier. For years, that identifier was static, meaning your phone had one fixed Bluetooth name it used everywhere, and any device that could receive a Bluetooth signal could log that you specifically were in range. Retailers figured this out with embarrassing speed. Stores started deploying little sensors called Bluetooth beacons. They're cheap, they run on a coin battery for years, and they can map your movement through a physical space with room-level accuracy. Which display you paused at, how long you stood near the cereal aisle, whether you walked toward the exit after seeing a price and then turned around. This data gets packaged, sold, and fed into profiles that exist in databases you have never seen and cannot request. Modern phones now randomize their Bluetooth identifiers periodically, which helps. But periodically means every 15 minutes or so, and 15 minutes is more than enough time to log your behavior pattern in a single store visit. And if your phone reconnects to a known device, your car, your earbuds, your smartwatch, it often broadcasts its real identifier to complete the handshake. So the randomization has a workaround, and the workaround is just you living your life. The part that really deserves a slow clap is that you opted into this by owning a phone and existing in public. There was no moment of consent, no pop-up, no terms and conditions checkbox. Bluetooth just sort of decided to know where you shop and at what speed you walk past the wine section. Honestly, respect the commitment. Number 8. Your phone knows who you're sleeping next to. Not metaphorically, literally. And it figures this out through a method that sounds like it belongs in a science fiction novel about a dystopian government program but is actually just standard Wi-Fi behavior. Your phone, even when it's locked, face down on your nightstand with the sound off, is continuously scanning for Wi-Fi networks. It's not connecting to them, just cataloging them. The name, the signal strength, the MAC address of every router in range. And because Wi-Fi signals have a consistent geometry, your neighbor's router is always the same distance from your bedroom window. Your phone builds a hyperspecific radio map of wherever it is. Researchers call this Wi-Fi fingerprinting, and it is accurate to a disturbingly small radius. Not "you're in Chicago" accurate. You're in the northwest bedroom of this specific apartment accurate. Google famously collected this data through its Street View cars. Those little vans photographed your neighborhood and quietly logged every Wi-Fi network in range. They called it a mistake when they got caught. The technology, however, was not a mistake. Now combine that with the fact that your partner, roommate, or whoever shares your physical space also has a phone doing the exact same radio mapping. Both phones see the same cluster of networks at the same signal strengths. They're in the same place. Machine learning models, which ad platforms absolutely have and absolutely use, can infer relationship proximity, who you sleep near, who you commute with, who you spend evenings with, purely from overlapping Wi-Fi environment data. No names exchanged, no photos, just radio waves, and the cold inference of an algorithm that is very, very good at noticing patterns. Your phone doesn't know you're in love, but it knows you're in the same room every night, and for an advertising platform, that's basically the same thing. Number 7. The keyboard has been keeping notes. Third-party keyboards. You downloaded one because you wanted swipe to type or better autocorrect, or a theme that matched your personality at the time, which was apparently dark mode and mild dissociation. Understandable. But here's what the App Store listing probably glossed over. A keyboard app sees every single thing you type, every password attempt, every search, every unhinged voice-to-text message you sent at midnight and then deleted. Even the default keyboards, the ones made by the companies whose names you know and theoretically trust, collect typing data to improve predictions. That's the legitimate explanation. Autocorrect learns your vocabulary. Predictive text learns your sentence patterns. Your phone figures out that you always type LMAO after I can't believe and starts suggesting it. Convenient. And also a complete log of your linguistic fingerprint. Your writing style, the specific words you choose, the rhythm of your sentences, your pet phrases and typos, is now understood to be a reliable personal identifier. Authorship analysis has been used in court cases. The same principle applies to your keyboard data. If a bad actor or an unscrupulous data broker or an app with vague analytics permissions gets access to enough of your typing history, they can identify you across platforms even if you're posting anonymously. The anonymous account you made to be unfiltered is probably linked to you through the way you type honestly too much. You always do that. And the nuclear option. Researchers demonstrated that even without network access, a keyboard app could encode your typing data into DNS request patterns, a technical loophole that bypasses standard network monitoring, meaning a keyboard could theoretically smuggle your private text out of your phone through channels that most security tools wouldn't even think to check. Your keyboard is sitting there, knowing your secrets, being suspiciously quiet about it. Number 6. Your photos are telling on you. You took a picture of your lunch. Harmless. You took a picture of your dog doing something stupid. Also harmless. You took a picture of a receipt because you were going to expense it and then never did. Fine. What you probably didn't think about is that baked into every single one of those photos is a packet of data called EXIF metadata. And it is basically a confession note attached to every image you've ever taken. EXIF data includes the date, the time, the make and model of your phone, and unless you've specifically turned it off, which most people haven't because most people don't know it exists, the precise GPS coordinates of where the photo was taken. Not somewhere in the city coordinates. 3rd floor, northwest corner, 12 meters from the entrance coordinates. Every photo you've posted publicly without stripping that metadata is a dot on a map of your life. Journalists have used EXIF data to locate whistleblowers. Law enforcement uses it regularly. And data scrapers harvest it from public posts at industrial scale. But the metadata is almost the boring part. The actually unsettling part is what AI can extract from the image content itself. Modern image recognition doesn't just see your lunch. It sees the restaurant logo on the cup in the background, the street sign reflected in the window, the specific pattern of light that suggests late afternoon in a mid-latitude city in autumn. Google Photos can search your library for beach, or birthday, or dog and surface accurate results because it has looked at every pixel of every photo you've ever backed up and cataloged them with a thoroughness that would make a detective cry. Your face, your friends' faces, the inside of your home, your car, your neighborhood, all of it has been indexed. Apple and Google will tell you the facial recognition processing happens on-device and stays private. That's probably true. It also means the software capable of identifying every face you've ever photographed is sitting in your pocket right now, fully trained, ready, and not particularly concerned about your comfort level with that. You didn't make a scrapbook. You made a dossier. Number 5. Silent ads that your eyes never see. This one requires a brief moment of appreciation for the audacity involved, because whoever thought of it deserves some kind of award, possibly a villain origin story. There's a tracking technique called a canvas fingerprint, and it works like this. When you visit a website, your browser is quietly instructed to draw an invisible image. Not visible to you, not on the screen, nothing you'd ever notice, using your device's graphics hardware. The way your specific phone renders that image depends on your GPU, your drivers, your operating system version, your installed fonts, and a dozen other hardware variables. The result is a tiny, unique hash, a fingerprint made entirely of invisible ink, generated by your own phone, handed over without your knowledge. No cookies needed. No login. No account. You could be browsing in full private mode on a VPN with cookies blocked and tracking protection enabled, and a canvas fingerprint can still identify you as the same device that visited that site 3 weeks ago from a different network in a different city. It defeats almost every standard privacy measure people actually use, because it doesn't rely on storing anything on your device. It just makes your device do a tiny, invisible math problem and reads the answer. The same principle applies to audio fingerprinting. Your phone's audio hardware processes a hidden sound and the result identifies your device. And font fingerprinting, where the specific set of fonts installed on your phone creates a combination unique enough to track you. These methods exist in layered stacks now. A single website visit can fingerprint you 6 different ways simultaneously, compare the result against a database, and serve you a personalized ad experience before you've even read the headline. And the truly spectacular part? This is all technically legal, widely used, and not meaningfully disclosed in any privacy policy you've actually read. Which is none of them, which they know. Number 4. Your phone knows you're sick before you do. This sounds like the tagline of a bad thriller, but it's backed by peer-reviewed research, and it's considerably more real than comfortable. Your phone passively collects behavioral data, screen time, typing speed, how often you open apps, how many steps you took, how long you stayed in one location, what time you fell asleep based on when the screen went dark. Individually, these numbers mean nothing. Collectively, over time, they form a behavioral baseline, a version of you on a normal day. And when that baseline shifts, something flags it. Stanford researchers published a study showing that changes in smartphone behavior patterns could predict the onset of depressive episodes days before the person was consciously aware of feeling depressed. Slower typing, fewer social interactions, more passive scrolling, less physical movement. The phone noticed before the person did. Similar research has linked behavioral data patterns to early-stage bipolar episodes, anxiety disorders, and cognitive decline in older adults. This is genuinely useful and genuinely terrifying, depending entirely on who has access to the data. In a clinical context, with consent, this kind of passive monitoring could be a meaningful mental health tool. In an advertising context, it means the algorithm knows you're in a low period and can choose to serve you ads for things you're more vulnerable to purchasing when your emotional defenses are down. Comfort food, shopping, whatever your particular flavor of coping happens to be. Your phone hasn't told you it's worried about you. It's just quietly building a case. Whether that information is used to help you or sell you something depends on a business model you had no vote in choosing. So that's fun. Sleep well. Number 3. The apps that know you moved on. Breakups are hard. Apartments are expensive. Life transitions are messy. Your phone, meanwhile, has been tracking all of it with the emotional sensitivity of a spreadsheet and the memory of an elephant. Location data, when collected over months and years, doesn't just show where you are. It shows narrative. It shows that you used to spend every weekend at one address and then abruptly stopped. It shows that a new location started appearing in your evening data around the same time. It shows the gym you went to 3 times in January and abandoned. The bar you visited every Thursday for 4 months and then never again. The hospital you visited twice in a week and told nobody about. Data brokers, companies whose entire business model is buying, packaging, and reselling personal information, purchase location histories from apps and aggregate them into behavioral profiles. These profiles get sold to insurers, employers, landlords, political campaigns, and anyone else willing to pay. A 2021 investigation found that a single location data broker was selling files containing months of precise movement history for millions of Americans, purchasable in bulk, with no meaningful restriction on who could buy them or what they could do with the information. Your phone's location data has been used to identify people who attended political protests. It's been used to track visits to abortion clinics in states where that information carries legal risk. It's been sold to immigration enforcement agencies. The app that asked to access your location so it could show you the weather was not lying about the weather feature. It just didn't mention the other part. Your phone has been keeping a journal of your life. It's just not your journal. Number 2. Your phone knows what you're about to do. Prediction is the final frontier of surveillance, and your phone is already there, parked, waiting for you to arrive. Behavioral prediction models work by finding patterns in past data so consistent that future behavior becomes statistically inevitable. And after years of location history, app usage, purchase records, browsing behavior, typing patterns, and passive sensor data, the profile built on you is specific enough that algorithms can predict your behavior before you've consciously decided to act. Google's own patents describe systems for predicting where a user will go next based on historical location patterns. Not just you usually go to this coffee shop on Saturdays, but predictive routing that accounts for weather, calendar events, and behavioral shifts. Amazon holds patents for anticipatory shipping, the idea of sending you a product before you order it, based on predicted purchase intent. Spotify's recommendation engine doesn't just respond to what you've listened to. It predicts what you'll want to hear based on time of day, location, weather, and listening history, and it is correct often enough that it feels less like a suggestion and more like mind reading. This is the part where the data collection stops being about the past and starts being about the future. A profile built on what you've done becomes a model of what you'll do. And a model of what you'll do is, functionally, a version of you that exists in a server somewhere and can be consulted without your knowledge or consent. That version of you doesn't have feelings about it. It just sits there, being accurate, while the real you walks around thinking you're making spontaneous decisions. Free will is great. The algorithm is just skeptical. Number 1. You are the product, and the product has already shipped. Every item on this list is a feature, not a bug. That's the part that doesn't get said enough. The microphone access, the location tracking, the behavioral prediction, the invisible fingerprinting, none of it happened by accident. None of it slipped through. It was designed, patented, deployed, and scaled by some of the most talented engineers on the planet, working for companies with the resources of small nations, optimizing for a single outcome. Knowing you better than you know yourself so that knowing you can be sold. The business model of the modern internet is attention. Your attention is the product. And the more precisely a platform can predict what will hold your attention, provoke your emotions, trigger your insecurities, or satisfy your impulses, the more valuable that attention becomes to the people paying for it. Every data point your phone collects is a brushstroke in a portrait of your psychology. And that portrait gets auctioned off in milliseconds every time you open an app. The average smartphone user has somewhere between 60 and 90 apps installed. A majority of those apps collect data. Much of that data gets shared with third parties through SDKs, little embedded pieces of code that you've never heard of, from companies you've never encountered, doing their own quiet logging inside apps you trust. You didn't agree to be tracked by a data broker named something like Verizon Media Oath Holdings Advertising Partner Network. But inside the terms of service of the flashlight app you downloaded in 2018, you kind of did. None of this means your phone is evil. It means your phone is a mirror held up to the incentive structures of the economy it was built inside. The creepiest thing isn't that your phone knows you. It's that it knows you because knowing you is profitable, and profitable things get optimized until they are very, very good. Your phone isn't a spy. It's just a business. A business that has read every text you've ever sent and would like to sell you a couch. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.